Hello, my name is Atulo Joseph. I work for Mtoto International and I'm the head of platforms working in child participation. So Mtoto works to make children visible, and what that means is that we're able, working with the new strategic plan that we have with Mtoto 2024 to 2027, we are working to ensure that children are able to get platforms that they're able to showcase and be who they are. That adds up to what we do, making children visible. We also do a lot of learning at Mtoto, ensuring that we build the capacity of these young children in the different areas that they're specializing in or looking to get into changing the world or change making, I would say. We also do a lot of access, giving them materials that are child friendly, ensuring that they're able to have an understanding of the different things that are happening, but then from a place where it is in a level that they as children they understand. So basically that is adding up to the larger helping children to be innovators and change makers. I'd say for us at Mtoto, one of the things that we do is we leverage technology to ensure that we make children visible. And just from that, we can learn that technology is so big right now. We are looking into a world where we are going digital. Everyone is going digital, and the digital space has provided a lot of opportunities. And children as digital natives, they're coming into this space knowing that this is a space that they know and a space that they understand so well. That is why most of them are thriving in that particular place. So for me, I'd say at Mtoto, we look at the digital platform, and that is why we're also going into building the capacity of children in areas like artificial intelligence, AI, Gen AI, and different other forms of AI, because we understand that through this kind of platform, the internet, they're able to do a lot of things, and that also works around creating content. It also works around ensuring that they also be able to do research and are also able to know what just by themselves, and having them in this particular space and having them understand how the internet works. They are able to, and the digital technology, they are able to now know and look the work that they are doing as change makers, or even as children who are now getting into this space where they want to understand what it is that I can do from everything that, how can I change the world? So the digital space is providing a very wonderful opportunity, and learning centers like we at Mtoto have a hub where we ensure that we build these ideas with the children. We are able to create with them. We are able to, from the inception of projects and also from the ideation process. And now we are getting to a place where we are able to have them go out there and build projects even that are helping the world. I would say, like I mentioned, I work in child participation, and for me, this is an area that has not really been understood, especially by most people. And that is why we at Mtoto are trying to ensure that we are taking people or different organizations, the government, for example, and different stakeholders that are working with children and working for children, that child participation is actually an area or something that can be done, because most people do not look at children as people or individuals that can come up with amazing ideas. They look at them as just listeners. And that is why, even for us, the vision at Mtoto is a world where children are players and not spectators. And so we find that tokenism, for example, is one of the things that is happening. It's not entirely bad, because you can get an opportunity from that. But then the approach that we take in saying that children do not have a say on issues is one of the things that's a challenge. The other one is something around being unsafe, especially in the internet. You find that a lot of people are taking advantage of children, which is bringing safeguarding issues in terms of how children are getting and wanting to do some of these things. One of the things I can say is being conned on the internet, and also being, what is this word? More hacking, for example. You find that children want to get into this space or are in this space because it's a space that they know, But then you realize that most people are taking advantage. We have predators on the internet. They're taking advantage of children. They want to don't want these children to thrive. They're cyberbullying, for example. And this sometimes can be peer-to-peer. So for me, I'd say those are the two main ones that I'd want to talk about: not understanding child participation, and especially the young change makers who are trying to bring in innovation into the world, and also there's some kind of being unsafe in the different spaces that they are in, both in the digital space and also offline. Yeah. I'd say change making is really looking at change making for me is having individuals look at the world and realizing there is a problem in the world and wanting to do something about it. And so for Africa, I'd say, is looking at Africa. We are usually told that Africa is behind. Africa is still trying to catch up. Africa is still not very much developed. And this is because many times not just a bias, but because of how our environment is. And so change making and Africa is looking at Africa, for example. What issues are we facing as Africa? And both young people and the adults looking at it from a point of, I want to bring change, because probably I have a vision of where Africa can get if this particular problem is addressed. And so going into this and saying, I want to bring a solution, and not just a solution that many times is sustainable, something that you're able to look at and say, this is not only going to help me, but it's going to also help the future generations. And so for me, there is that linkage, looking at a problem, realizing that this is a problem, looking at how do I get a solution for this. And also the other thing that comes to change making, especially from an Africa point of view, is being able to partner, being able to look at who is going to do this with me, not just for me, but who is going to do this with me, and who is able to buy into my vision for Africa, and also see the problem from the lens that I am seeing it with, and working together to ensure that we are all bringing these solutions to work. Government, interesting, because most of the times we talk about government, how can the government come in, because at the end of the day, I'd say goodwill from the government is important, because it helps change policies, for example, because these decision makers are people that are representing us in the different spaces. In Kenya, for example, how our system works is that we have parliament, and we have the different levels of parliament, the National Assembly and the County Assembly, and we also have the Senate, which is people that we vote for to represent us in those particular houses, and they're the people that make the laws, and they're the people that are able to help us understand even some of this interaction with the globe. And so for us, the government for me is more of having or giving an opportunity for young people to even have a sit down with them, because the moment you have a sit down with the young people, you are able to understand what their vision is. And so from that comes goodwill, because the moment you have an understanding, sitting down with these people and knowing this is what they want, then you're able to even get from them. You're able to even understand how is this benefiting not only they as a young people, but it's benefiting the whole country, is benefiting the whole of the region of Africa. And so for me, being open-minded for the government and being able to have a sit down and also play an advising role, because not just listening to us, but having this as a conversation. This is something they might have thought of. And so when they sit down with us, they might advise us based on their experience, and they might even just listen and have an open conversation where we are able to see at the end of the day, this is not for any selfish interest, this is not for any personal interest, but this is something that we are doing to ensure that we are changing the world and we are changing the environment in which we are in, which many a times is coming from a governance point of view. A lot of children come, what do I do? How do I get to this? And so one of the things we always talk about is do it. Just do it. You have something, you're thinking about something, and don't be afraid or don't think that this is not going to work. Sometimes we get children who tell us, or young change makers that tell us, I don't think this is going to work here. But then one of the things that we tell them is, how can we work together to ensure that we contextualize that idea? You might be thinking it worked in the US, for example, or it worked in Europe or Asia, but how do we contextualize that problem and put it in Africa? Because even as African states, we have different problems, but then how the same problem, climate change, for example, how it affects a child in Ethiopia might not be the same way it affects a child in Sierra Leone, in Egypt, in Morocco, or in South Africa. So just finding the time and saying, this is what I think might save Africa, or this is what I think will save Africa, or will save the area that I am in. And so just going into it and finding the right people to work with and ensuring that you put your idea out there without the fear of failure. And so just being out here and doing what you're meant to do confidently.